Greetings, Tushita, Namaste, Shalom, Hola. So what else? I cover most of everything. So good to see you all. And I came late, so I owe great apologies to you all, not coming on time. Very naughty teacher. So Venerable Tekjola, I wanted to thank you for giving the review session on the last year, which we covered quite some certain points from this text, which I'm going to continue the stages of path. So Venerable did the review on that. So thank you so much for the how do you say, covering me up, something like that. So now, first of all, the greatest question that we, myself, all of you, each and all individual here, have to ask this question to yourself: why I'm here, what I'm doing here. So some of you might have an answer for that. Maybe some people might not have an answer for this. Who knows the answer? Yourself. So now, that's why each and every time when we sit down and then start listening to teachings or meditate, one of the most important is to check with your motivation. So it is one of the greatest kind of practice, checking your motivation. So now here in this beautiful place, where one of the greatest spiritual leader, His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, all the spiritual leader, among one of the greatest teacher, His Holiness is not far from us. And this place is a very special, blessed place. Many of students, practitioners, Tushita is something, a kind of a gateway in the border where many people, Westerners, especially Westerners, they meet Dharma in their life. So we will discuss more what is Dharma, for sure. But most important, there's a huge shift in their life. And then most important, most of us, temporarily we are very happy. We might feel like, I don't need Dharma. I don't need to think of that. I'm quite comfortable. But the deep inside, most important is, if you could understand that we are the slave of our own mind, then it's a bit challenging, because we would think like I'm a master of my own. But then once negative emotion comes up, there's no room for inside your intelligent brain, how educated, how wealthy, how much even you are the greatest professor, scientist, whoever you are, the prime minister, president. Once this mind is full occupied by the negative emotions, then we make many stupid decisions. So, have you ever in your life, have you ever tried, oh, I'm getting angry, oh, I should control myself. There's no point to bring this anger. Once this anger just comes up, it's like the fire has already gone up, it's the highest peak. So there's no chance to bring it down. So that's why one of the greatest master on this planet, the great Shantideva, said, once who is always feel like I'm under the sway of the negative emotions, then you need to practice Dharma. It's not like, oh, I like Buddha, oh, I like Shiva, oh, I like all these beautiful pictures, paintings, and then I feel like so important, oh, this, I need to follow this path, I have this energy. That is not enough. The great people who met Dharma is, I think, when people start thinking, there's something that I need to change through my own mind and tame my mind. Then, in order to do that, so outside enemy is just a very ordinary. And your inner enemy becomes a number one issue. So and then we make so many commitments, like day and night I will challenge my negative emotions. Oh, that's so powerful. I bet maybe most of us, it won't last for a few minutes. So for this reason, if you feel like I'm here in Tushita, I want to listen to the teachings of the Buddha, whom he didn't conquer the whole world, but he conquered his own negative emotions, and then he's fully awakened. That's called Buddha. So I wanted to listen, not just Buddha, that wasn't Buddha's style, so we should listen to this great master. When you listen to the teaching and just some tiny shlokas or the quotations, and then you feel like, oh, I like Buddhism. That's too fast. Most importantly is, first, you have to understand the heaviness or the preciousness of the medicine, the antidote. Who will understand the preciousness and the price of the antidote is not other than not even the medicine seller, the patients. Person who really is thinking, now I have this strong disease, I'm really suffering of this disease, I wanted to get out from that. Once that person understood and then come to that kind of point, and then doing mandala offering, I offer the whole universe, and I can exchange this teaching with this whole universe, my body, mind, speech. I need this teaching. Then it makes total sense. So I'm giving this, many of you, I know that you have studied and understand a bit of Buddhism for sure, but some of you are new. Very importantly, you really need to go through some stages, like where with this topic that we call the three scopes, and then the text itself is called stages of path, and we just went through this mantra called Deyata Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Buddha Iso. Not just like I wanted to become Buddha, I want the best medicine, antidotes. Oh, I want Buddhicitta, I want great compassion. Nobody is selling Buddhicitta. Even you have a huge amount of money, you cannot afford that. There is something that you need to You have to have this kind of yawning. How do you say yawning? Yawning. Where? Yawning. Yeah. Yawning. Today who is giving this lecture, me, myself, even I am recognized as one of the great teachers' reincarnation. My now practice, there are so many. Now I've studied almost 30 years, and what I'm really looking into this kind of particular practice is the yawning towards the Dharma. Because for almost 30 years I'm reciting, listening the teachings. Wow, I listen to His Holiness Dalai Lama. In this room, I may be the only one who listened to His Holiness many times, from a young age up to now. But because the precious teaching, the most precious teacher is there, his compassion is great. Teaching is amazing. His teaching has liberated so many other ones, but still I'm not fully ripened. Because of, I think, what I'm noticing is there's no yearning towards this. It's more like if somebody is not interested in pizza, then I say there's a very good pizza in Dharamsala, and you just go, okay, thank you. But the person, when you has so enthusiastic, when you hear the name of pizza, just, wow, I'm really dying to eat this pizza. Especially, and this is some kind of one of the known as the holiest place for a pizza. Then once, even you need to buy a very expensive flight tickets, you don't feel I have wasted my money. We do that kind of thing in our life, don't we? So then, going closer to that, and then watching how they're doing it, putting it together, how much you put effort, then it's called choice effort, not just merely effort. And that is needed. I'm not talking only about Dharma. In all the things that you are so-called, I have a passion towards my job. I have a passion towards this sports. Right? So then if you like soccer, you broke your ankles 16, 17 times. you are not going to give up. Look at this super famous Ronaldo and Messi. They broke up, they break their ankles so many times, but they still are playing. So similarly, to search for the Dharma, for the antidote, we need to have that. And in order to search for Dharma, we need to step one forward back. What is that? First you need to understand. You have to have a mutual understanding with the Buddha, the teacher. Don't take Buddha as a very special being. Don't take your Lama, teacher, as a very special being. Just take a simple man with a great wisdom that he is trying to offer, that he has experienced. So you are doing some checking. The first checking is the Buddha gives this hint and teaching when he gave the Four Noble Truths, the teaching on Four Noble Truths. The first teaching he gave is on dukkha, suffering. He said, know the suffering. So that means we are not understanding the suffering. Here's the problem. So then we ask for liberation. Then it's not a liberation, that what Buddha has defined, what Dharma is. So most important, last year my stress was on the first scope. I tried to talk a bit of that. And still my practice, I'm not rushing, because if you are not enjoying that and you are rushing, and then sometimes you get nothing out from that. So similarly, I think most important when we talk about suffering, we need to have a quite good, deep understanding of the suffering, which the suffering of the suffering, that we know that nobody likes the suffering of suffering. Even you look at the small insects, they will show so many signs that I don't want to die. They fake death. They fight for their life because they know the suffering. And for us, of course, human beings, bit challenging is the second one, suffering of change. Suffering of change. This is a bit, we kind of feel this is a kind of we are stepping in a problem, but we don't call it as a problem. Just imagine if you go and buy this $1 billion, what is called $1 billion lottery. It's called lottery, right? And then imagine, feel like you won it, okay? Feel like your friend calls you, messaging just now. Remember, a few days ago you bought the $1 million ticket, and now guess who's the winner? That's you. So there's so much joy, right? And then you're so busy organizing the planning about what to do with all this money and all this. That time, you would never say, I have stepped into the suffering. Right? Who will say that? People will call you crazy if you say this. But to be honest, now you have opened one of the most complicated samsara of yours. So that's why even this is not, knowing this is just a suffering, that is not a Dharma that we're talking here. This is quite, you sit down and you can really accept that. Accept that. Yes, I could totally understand. I know I got married, there's another suffering. I won a lottery, there's a bigger suffering now. If you sit down and be cool and calm your mind, and then you can understand it. But it takes encouragement to say this is a suffering. You will never say it. But if you really open your eyes wide and then say like, I can really wanted to see what is coming up in the longer run, and then most importantly, you just like, oh, I think not necessarily for my happiness, I really need this. So then there are so many people who are rich people, they change their ideas of way of living. They do so many changes in their life. We could see this. So even you can see in the Hindu traditions, in the Sikh traditions, also in the Jewish, in the Christian, in the Muslim, everywhere you go, with this understanding. So they try to stay contentment. So now the real most amazing thing that Buddha not we could say discover, could be this the profound teaching which always starts in Buddhism, which is the pervasive suffering. Why? Pervasive suffering. So the pervasive is not at the outside. You look at from here to there. Oh, lots of people suffering. Not looking at like this. It's more. You have quite a strong understanding. It's huge making a decision, saying if you have this way of thinking, this way of body, this way of feeling, if you have this so-called, we have 5 aggregates, those 5 aggregates, we have it, I will always suffer. Even I'm not suffering, I will suffer, guarantee. And this too comes as a bonus. The suffering of suffering and the suffering of change, it comes with it. It's free, complimentary. Enjoy it. It comes with it. It comes with it. So that's why Buddha always says, you might be heard some stories of Buddha when he was receiving teachings from the great masters, and then he would always ask this question: what will be the best teaching that not responsive?
What's the Dharma to make it that you don't have to take rebirth again?
It's so powerful, See? Nobody asked this question. The Buddha did ask this question. Sometimes there also, even 30 years of studying and practicing, sometimes when asking this question for myself, it takes quite a strong encouragement to ask this. Should I ask this question to myself? Am I really looking for this? My life is a bit comfortable now. I'm gaining a little bit more followers. And many people, supporters are there. People showing some respect. And people start praising me a bit. So still, do I really need to knock on the door of how to abandon the rebirth once and forever? And in case if I have a control in my next rebirth to come back again, then should I ask? So this is such a great question. Whenever in the Buddhism we talk of liberation, this is what they are asking. A person who is asking for liberation and he is very comfortable in his life, there is a bit contradiction there. Yeah. Keep this in mind. Next time if you see some people who say, I like liberation, and then you see some problem that he's really enjoying the samsara life, you can bring the big question. Make him difficult. Anyway. So now, these for 10 days, I'm going to remind you this kind of teaching, this kind of antidote, this kind of I'm going to annoy you time to time, because Tushita is specially built for this, I guess. Because we follow the path of Buddha Shakyamuni and Lama Tsongkhapa here. So Buddha Shakyamuni if you look at his life story, there are so many interesting parts in his life. How much we are comfortable in this life, the Buddha was already comfortable at the time when he was prince. He's not like a very lazy student, very not successful person, but he has most of everything. Education, everything, business, mind, everything. But still, from the young age, his question is like, how to end the suffering once and all. That was his biggest question. That actually ruined his life as a prince. But then, the greatest achievement, that kind of question, dragged him towards the liberation. And the great thing is, he claimed that he achieved liberation in his 30s, right? Buddha got fully enlightened in his 30s. 30 what? 33? 33. I'm getting late. not only that he said that I got enlightened, but he has left a whole bunch of the evidence how to get fully enlightened, how to bring liberation in his teachings. That still in India, in the West now, and in Tibet, we have access to this kind of teaching, which is incredible. As a beginner, this is my just theory. As a beginner for Buddhism, the person should say, I don't follow Buddha, I'm not Buddhist, but I like this particular teaching so much. I like this teaching, I like this teaching, I like this teaching. So then one day he decides, wow, I wanted to follow. Then it's good follower. Many of us, we follow in a strange ways, like kind of influenced by friends, and then just felt like, wow, I think I should become a Buddhist. That doesn't, actually is not the correct way to follow the Buddha's teaching. So most important that His Holiness Dalai Lama always says, how to follow Buddha's teaching is the Nalanda tradition of the way. First, it's full of what's that? In investigation. His Holiness is the teacher for me. This English word, thoroughly investigate. He always says this in English, it's his teaching. So I will go, what is thoroughly? He's always saying. So thoroughly investigation is needed. Even you don't become a Buddhist, doesn't matter. But still you will feel like, on this level, I support Buddha. On this level, I really don't know. So that's a way to become a good scientist. So here also, as our first day, I open our discussion with the 3 types of suffering, to discuss about it, to think about that. Some lamas would say, we believe in some auspicious sign. So they say, oh, shouldn't talk about suffering on the first day. Talk some nice things. But most important, I think, if we really wanted to talk about Dharma, then we need to talk about suffering. And then unless we don't touch to that kind of ground, and our way of research to bring in Hindi, Shanti, I was just coming from Bali. Everybody will go, Shanti. I go, you Shanti, God Shanti. He said, oh, I got Shanti. Next day he made an appointment with me and full of complaints of life. As there it is. You know what? We need to know how to complain in our life. That's what I'm saying. Because we are really suffering, we should complain. But once we complain, then you complain like, yes, many people say, we are in a samsara. What to expect from samsara? That's a powerful way of saying. You have to this brain and the human brain and everything this, you got a headache, you shouldn't get surprised. Headache, you have a head, there should be a headache. What are you talking about? Right, you have a stomach, and you're in India, and you got diarrhea. I cannot say enjoy it, but I have to say like, yes, it should happen. So something like that, this becomes number one practice. So the one, this huge teacher behind us, Lama Tsongkhapa, he said in one of his teachings, the text in the future might be, it will be useful for you guys to do some research or to read that. Taking suffering into the path, that text. He said in these days, many people have some kind of fashion to bring suffering into path because they don't like suffering. Because they don't like suffering, they wanted to change the suffering into path, which is a wrong idea. So then he gives us a tip. He says, first, if you feel like I don't like the suffering, then you need to give a thought. Because there is the cause, then there is a result. Accept it. Because there is a cause, then there should be the result. Adapt this kind of mind. Have a certainty, decisive belief. If there is the cause, then there should be the result. Because there is a cause of the suffering should be there. Adapt this, learn this, and then one day, once you feel like, I don't like this suffering, of course the cause is there. So once you feel like, now I wanted to get rid of that kind of cause, then there is when you say, now I wanted to change the suffering into a path, then it becomes much more understanding, better understanding. It's a better understanding. That really helped me, because when sometimes I feel like yesterday when I was in the visa center, I filled all the applications, and then I submitted, and then I make a prayer. Not like doing like this, just like that. I'm making prayer now. I just may I get a visa. Then I give a thought to myself. I'm not really, I don't know how to pray, I felt. Because to get a visa, all the right causes and condition has to meet. And I'm really demanding on that. So I just hold on my thought and just like, okay, then one of the greatest prayers, if there's benefit to me going to the Europe this time, may I get a visa? If there's no benefit, no problem, thank you. That was easy. Otherwise I was going to make so much demand, oh my goodness, give me the visa, give me the visa. I don't know who I'm sending this message to. And the next time I say, I pray, and I lost my faith in Buddha. That doesn't work within the Buddhism. So, those are the things, tiny things which becomes quite important in our day-to-day life way of engaging into the practice that we need to keep in our mind. So now why particularly this text which Tushita has requested me, we started last year, this incredible text which is the stages of the path. We didn't announce as a stages of path or something. We say how to practice in daily life and a guide to infinite siva, infinite happiness. Actually, this is the text. So the Tushita marketing is good. They want to catch your attention. So they make it how to practice in a daily a guide to infinite happiness. Of course this is true. Of course this is true. That's true. But the text itself called is the stages of path. So, why this teaching becomes very important? I call this is bit advanced teaching, because people who are practicing stages of path, actually they are kind of people who are now studied a lot, know what Buddhism is about, what is the real suffering, what are the real antidotes, and now they are like ready to put all these big books away, and then they wanted to now combine everything into three vessels, in 3 containers. The first one is all this teaching goes into the first scope. This all goes into the second, and then on third. So then, why this is designed, this teaching, is because the main focus is on the third scope, which is the full enlightenment. Many people rush towards this without understanding the second one, and without even you know the bit of the second, but you never appreciate and not really practice the first one. So then all these 3 actually is so connected, but people choose like it's optional. And then it's a huge problem. And then how much you meditate, realization is not there. No realization is coming. So that's why when the Lama Atisha, the great master, which century? Atisha? 11th century, great Atisha, when he was invited in Tibet, because in that time Tibet, the teachings of the Buddha was strongly kind of degenerated. But we need to understand very carefully here, because even they say it's degenerated, there are so many people practicing Tantra. They are practicing about shamatha. They are practicing about all sorts of teachings are there. But then still, we call it degenerated. Why degenerated? Many people does not know the answer. They say there's the one king, demon king came and then destroyed the Buddha's teaching. That's what we were told. But the most important, at the time, right before the Adisha was invited, the Tibetan king, one of the Tibetan king, who's the founder of the my monastery in Spiti, Halama Yeshu. I'm doing the self-promotion here. Huh? My monastery's name is called Tabu Monastery in Spiti. So that is almost now 1,030 years old. So he's the founder. So he was that time Tibet is not like the huge Tibet. It's just like one tiny part of the area. He's the king, and then he's so much worried now because he sees very clearly how the people practice. It's more like people are practicing very, maybe in English it will be very nice to understand, the freestyle. Like in Bali, they do whatever they want to bring peace. At the end of the day, I don't know what happens. But like this, in Tibet it was like, they do whatever ever want. So that time the great king, Salama Yeshu, he thought like, he tried to see in India who's there who really can bring the Buddha Dharma teaching so alive back in Tibet. So he found Adisha, and then he sent several messages and then several offerings to Adisha to come to Tibet. Finally, when Adisha came, so Adisha gave lots of teachings. Most of the teaching that he will give it to the Tibetan is this teaching, on the three scopes. Why he gave this? For two reasons. One is the king requested. The king is such a great practitioner. So he requested, please give the teaching to the Tibetan people how their mind works. So then Lama Adisha said, okay. Even though he's coming from the Nalanda tradition, in Nalanda, this way of teaching is not widely practiced. In the Indian tradition way, this starts with the debate. Because debate is something like it brings the flavor to practice. So how they do is actually they will bring, say, if the topic is about liberation. So then, first, if one person is talking about liberation, you really need to have a capacity in your mind to say, the way you describe this liberation is that I cannot agree. You bring your own logic and reasons that I cannot agree with this. Then you have to bring your, secondly, not like you are good enough to judge other people, but you are good enough to bring your own understanding of the liberation. How do we
repeating others' positions and asserting one's own position?
Asserting one's position.
And then refuting arguments to that, or abandoning arguments to that, to one's own position.
These are the three main principles way of giving teaching, receiving teaching, meditating in the Nalanda tradition. But then, back in Tibet, many people have a huge faith. But the people are not that educated. They don't debate like that. There's no room for this kind of. They have a huge faith. So the Adisha accepted how the Tibetan style it is. He didn't bring like, oh, we should all now discuss about debate. I really wanted to train you. He didn't waste his energy on. Then he started giving the teachings. This teaching, like three scope. The root of the text of the lumbering stages of path by Lama Tsongkhapa, the root text is the Adisha's text, which is called Lama Path. So in there, the main topics of Jaja, the topic is three scopes. The first scope, the middle scope, and the third scope. So, this the kind of teaching here, because I told you, because this is so advanced, because it starts with a Guru devotion from the beginning. Whenever it starts everything, this is a hint for you guys in the future when you look for a Dharma teaching, I give you a hint. Wherever it talks about Guru devotion, first very important, that teaching becomes already too advanced. Whether you wanted to jump into this pit, that's your call. So that's why last year when I started this stages of path, I skipped the first one, Guru devotion. I discussed from the main structure of the text. So we can talk the Guru devotion on the maybe next year, after whether there is fully enlightenment or not. Then there is fully enlightenment, then Guru devotion. We can go like that. So now, because most of you guys here, you guys are educated. You guys are capable to do many amazing things. So you already have the modern education basis and how to investigate. You will, if I talk about too much about the Buddhism stuff, you will just go like, what? This guy is serious? So you can bring this kind of reaction. Back in Tibet at that time when Adisha was there, the large community, I think, when Adisha says, there's hell, they just go like, there's hell. And there is God's wrong, they will accept it. At that time, it's a different case. But now here, it's a different case. Especially His Holiness always emphasized us to become a 21st century practitioners. He emphasized that. So that's why we need to always have some discussion. So that's why in this coming up sessions, we have discussion, isn't it? I noticed something. Yeah. So that's why we put this in here. And my way of explanation will be more try to bring in a discussion way. I'm not to say like, there it is, we should do it, or say, it sounds like this, what do you think? This is the benefit, this is the advantages, it is one like that. So it's more like giving the medicine to you, and whether you want to throw it, or you want to keep it, or you want to eat it, then it's up to you. This kind of thing. We are trying to do that. Tadi shugudi jigravi na di takeshitu. Tanda lamrin shimegi kibusumji lamto sunratamju duvi tsuni sechito. Tadi shugudi kawara chukru na mishinda. Chinandi na duwe. Gyuchena kibu dingu kuduri. Kibu dingi marmare. Kibu chumuri. Gang. Odi te kyawakdo. Kadu chiri gyushen dimiyo. So Anila, the Venerable Anila, will translate now directly in English. I will say a bit in Tibetan now. 이 페이지 subject 여기나 subject 팀인다. 기부 숨기 람도 숨라통지 되지. 기부 숨기 어디가 됐다. 또 디테일이나 English 나올라. 엔라치는 디통도. 오케이. 디나로를 과학도 유미치 lapsus를 control. Suffering is the one.
It's after the precious human life. It's after the precious human life section. The three types. It's just called the three types of person. Wait a minute. It's not that.
Give me way.
Are they the four main headings of the outline? No.
Let check. Midway. Okay. Digru. And Chinandina I think it's not in the air. It's very secret. Just the Tandadina Murta Gandhi Malwachana Sanji you Toma to Gevada, Pado Chosavada, Tama Umozo Sanjeva, Tamji Simjin Kone, turned to Yimbes. And Chusumba Tamji and Simjin you turn Kona, Door Chava, was Daddy than the Jumzindi got worse na. Kibusum did Lando, Annie, Sundatam to
So the reason for the presentation of the of the three beings is because at the beginning, the Buddha generated the great mind of enlightenment, and then in the middle, he accumulated the collections, then at the end, achieved perfect and complete enlightenment, manifest complete enlightenment, and solely or only for the purpose of for benefiting all sentient beings. And because of that, for that purpose, the Buddha taught. So for that purpose, the Buddha taught all of the teachings for the sake of benefiting all sentient beings.
Tenen dom tanda di wall ma jawe na tedar dubja semjingi tuyandu niris tuyandu bayi na negab mo to tang tadu ngelek sete samtang tus.
So then to summarize that, the things to be established or attained is to establish sentient beings in a temporary state of higher states or the lasting state of definite goodness.
제장타 테라 네거비 몬토 조바데 잠데 지니 주스고 탐지니 지부 충의 최담 주모 투모메 조거스 직샤 다테니 응열 디지라션 됩니다.
So for the temporary state of higher rebirths or higher states, then for the temporary state of the higher states, when the Buddha explained that or taught that, all that was taught for that purpose was the paths that are shared with the small scope beings. Either the small capacity beings or the paths that are compatible with the small scope beings.
제 생각 디디냐 랍샤베는 요즘에 기부 충무던 도모시도 잠be 조 추림길 나바지 추림길 나바 계시고 차야데 가르치는 슬라브도 잠be 안에 마란주 아니 세디 멋이 상로당에 대비나 아니 기부지도 보고요나 아주 상으로 세디 제도 그렇더니 다냐래 기부지도 보이면 세우래 타도 기부지 궁금해봐 심지 두금해봐 뒤도 잠배 다 세디 잠아서 치마에 기부요 이게 탑시지 제고도 세 상로 되나로 때원도 잠배 아니 신이 레당 어머니 계시시어도 잠배 다 용어는 상가에 하고도 돼 레사고 소모데 두저도 마 가야가 다나 줄임마서나 타비도 슬라마도 잠배 다 레당 영원히 그야 카디 충중 지자에 쳐도 나라 줄임이라고 들려서죠.
So for the path that are common or shared with the small scope beings, if we explain a little about what that is, then the main practice or path for the small scope being is to guard ethical discipline, and that is because if we're thinking of the beings, people that we're looking for the happiness, then it's hard to find lasting happiness in this life, and so we look at the way that we behave with others, and so it's not just looking for the happiness of this life, it's because we realise we can't get lasting happiness just in this life, it's rather thinking about how to attain the happiness of future lives. And the way to achieve happiness of future lives is to guard our ethics, our ethical discipline, because it's through we under the power of our karma and our afflictions, our actions and our afflictions, it's difficult for us to tame our afflictions at the start. So the practice is to watch our actions, to guard our karma, so engage in ethical actions in order to reduce our karma and our afflictions to reduce them so that we can improve our situation for future lives.
Tadi 요즘에 기부 딩디 단다 디워스를 데마숑체 기부 딩니 시바 타다를 쪼가제니 시벌을 줘버를 타바랑기 된도 토벌 체데 디탑 람라바숨도 주고 이미 칠데 세지라죠. 시다 타르림도 베제징 젠지 니숨시가 마부지 시도 기우딩니 세지도 도와 타다라 껴버껴버지스 제가 껴버지니 시벌을 주에 타바랑기 따디 단기 나가는 신체시 당보디 응원도지 맞아 응원도지 semjingi tuanchi dugu yoresana tuandi ni res tuandi ni kharesana chi shengila ya ngoto tera chida tene nyele terto chi ngoto terto batela shenla tsurum zambe chöte mo yores right da nyele di tarvada tamje jimbe komas je ngoto zambe an tarvati yores tarvati kharesana nyele ya shenla madengona susu to 세상을 셴을 마대원 수수토고도 잠베 덴티기 코아 타다를 껴와껴지 니 체마도는 니 심심심심을 된체 도움 말이스 어디 삼로래도 잠베 다 기부 전부다 참아 기부 충무 등 전부 숨부 다부 기부 충무된 등 니가로 기부 전부 기부 친구 떠가게 내가 지금 좋죠.
So then, looking at the path shared with the beings of the medium capacity, they should develop this sense of like sadness or seeing the faults of the whole of psychic existence, and so we have the three scope beings, or the three beings of three capacities. There's the being of small capacity, medium capacity, and great capacity, and basically the teachings that were given were in order to bring about the happiness of higher states or the happiness of definite goodness, and the teachings that were given to bring about the happiness of higher states were those that were aimed at the beings of the smaller capacity, those who are aiming to achieve this state of higher happiness within samsara. But then the medium scope being, the teachings given for the medium capacity being and the great capacity being are the teachings that are explaining how to achieve definite goodness, which are the states of liberation and enlightenment. And so, I just missed something, so the trainings or the teachings that were given to achieve the state of higher states of rebirth, the teachings given for that were to guard ethics, guard ethical discipline. But then when we look at the teachings that are explaining how to achieve definite goodness of liberation and enlightenment, so here looking at the being of medium capacity, the teaching there are for attaining the state of liberation, and the teachings that were given there are the three higher trainings. And so basically all of these teachings that are given for the three capacity beings are actually all the teachings for the small scope being and the medium scope being are leading one to also to enter into the training for the great scope being.
So now these stages of the path, that level 1, level 2, level 3. So unless you don't appreciate the teaching on the level 1 and level 2, then how much you say, I appreciate and like the third one so much. I like the idea of fully enlightenment, the omniscient mind. Then what? The great compassion. All this, many people start doing practice. They jump towards it. I do that. So, problem is, how much you emphasize and practice on that, it's not coming up. Why? The foundation which all these great qualities has to be rooted on the foundation of the ethical conduct. So if your ethical conduct is weakened, it's not strong enough, and then all other qualities will be not ripened. In the also in the Buddhism, in the Hinduism, they say the sultim that is in the Tibetan word. English we call ethical conduct, right? Ethical conduct. The beautiful word that Shila has the connotation of saying silva, coolness, cool, be cool, you see, right? Cool. The breeze, right? The breeze. So now if you feel I'm burning, I have these itches, all this uncomfortableness, you have it. So then once you feel like, once having this, you have to feel I'm getting freed, I'm getting cured, I'm getting the breeze, and I am getting this cool. That's the connotation of Shila, ethical conduct, children. But normally, when we practice ethical conduct, we don't have that. Because it looks like for a few days you're like, I'm in the mood to do that. And then you feel like, no, I really miss that. I want that. Because the problem is you never had an understanding that having this ethical conduct, it is one of the greatest way to bring a peace in your mind. So like me and my coffee, okay, I picture that. I know now these days coffee is not agreeing with me so much, but I cannot keep it up. But then, if I have some kind of device, a measurement, saying, oh, not keep drinking coffee, it increases my health much better, then nobody has to tell me coffee is bad for you. Now you need having an ethical conduct, not having coffee is your part of ethical conduct. You feel it has given me my energy back. Now I don't have this lung. What is that lung? So long. English we don't have.
Nervous energy.
Yeah, loss of energy. Yeah, in Tibetan, if you go to Tibetan medicine, the Tibetan doctor will first he will give you advice not to drink coffee. Which is like, no, I'm not going to listen to you. So, why? Because it's because most of the people who comes into the Tibetan medicine, they have this called lung. I don't know in Western, why don't you have this problem? The Tibetans are seeing problem and you don't have it. Soup. Yeah? I think it is something like depression? Imbalance. Yes. Yeah. It's kind of imbalancing your, I think, energy. So, for that reason, if you could really see that by drinking coffee that is really unbalancing you, then you will really accept it gladly. Similarly, saying one bad thing from your mouth, if you can feel like this is coming through my negative emotions, and I have said it, it is like action, the karma. It is a cause. Because it's something bad cause, the result will be bad. Not to others, but to yourself. Just having this understanding. Then you control, normally you are giving nicknames to other people, you try to reduce it. And then saying like, oh my goodness, I improved my life now. I'm becoming a better person. I'm becoming a better person each and every day. Once you have this, then it's the Shila. You bring this kind of coolness like, yes, now I'm becoming a better person. If you don't have that understanding, then it's like you go to the Tibetan doctor and say, don't drink coffee. Like, what's the problem with him? It's a problem with you, not the doctor. So this is something many in the West, in the East, everywhere we practice so many highest of highest, but we don't start with the basic or the foundation. It's not very stable. So then this is why the result is not there. That's a problem. So this is why in the first scope you are taught by the great Atisha Lama Tsongkhapa, first of all, that you need to control your mind, body, speech. In the West, other teachings, it is this practice. They are kind of common, but here this is designed to take you to the next level, which is the second scope, which is now then you will have a much broader way of looking at the suffering, which when we say even I am born with having all control of the body, mind, speech, ethical contact very strong, but then the greatest question we should always ask, even you are well disciplined, okay, you're doing this 10 virtues action is like your habit, no more problem. Somebody needs you to tell a lie, but you cannot even repeat after him. That kind of you are changed person, okay? Even though you become that kind of a person, but then the problem, one big problem is there, because will you be called? Are you completely tamed? So then you need to bring to this question, say, I'm good with this habitual practice. I don't know how to say it. Yeah, good, sounds good, good English, okay. So then this habitual pattern of the behavior becomes no problem, but then you should always ask, it looks like coming naturally, but for how long? If you have cut down all the summertime in your garden, you cut down all the yellow flower, which is, I don't know the name. In Canada, there's so many. Not sunflower, but dandelion. You cut that down, okay? And then you feel like, oh, so good. No negative, nothing, everything positive. Then, for a few weeks, you are good. Then it starts growing again. Then the problem is there. Then how many times you have to control? How many times you have to tame your mind again and again? That is a sign you have not tamed yourself well enough, or completely. So people who have a shamatha, who even have a vipassana, once their meditation, one slight slipped on their practice, then all the negative emotion comes back. That there's a problem then. So for that reason, now we need to see even how much we tamed our mind, but then you have to say, well, if there is still left for me that
you need to investigate whether or not the root of all the other afflictions, the root that gives rise to all the other afflictions, what is that cause of the other afflictions? You need to investigate to find it.
다디 따제 제공주 전에 영문 계획이 싸워텔이야 아니 다다다 또 따제 제공주 전에 영문 문도 중요하게 모두와의 민두대 얘나의 영문 기행기 취미 이직이 나도지리기 하겠어.
So we have to look to find what is the root underlying all the affliction. So even if there's not a manifest affliction arising, still behind it there's this improper mental attention. Do you know about this? Have you heard about this improper mental attention?
제가 취미 이직 남도스다 스커도 말라비나 유모빈이 줄을 되지 마이나야 딜이야 양주 조지다치 무인이 줄 되라면 베네 디가는 네 망보지 도다 게 시작지.
So this improper mental attention, what is that? So even if when it looks at whatever it's thinking about or looking at, even though there's something not there on that object, it superimposes many different things onto that thing that it's observing. So improper mental attention superimposes, adds on many things onto the top of what's actually there. So it's not really there, but it adds all this superimposition on top.
That you have feeling, that you sometimes feel that maybe I'm putting too much information there. You feel that, right? But if you really like that someone so much, and then you don't feel like I'm putting so much information there, right? if it's like the how to put it, like if you search on Google, okay, and then there's like in near His Holiness Dalai Lama temple, best coffee in India. Read like 6 stars, big ones, a little bit of maybe with the shiny ones, and then reviews are like from maybe 10,000 people. Praise very similar. Then once you go to that place, then it gives you good coffee, and then you drink. It's amazing, okay? And there could be a next person goes like, it's okay. Second person like, wow, so good, amazing. And some people are like, I really don't like that. 3 people, same restaurant, 5, the highest rated. So now, all 3 have a problem. Even the person who says, okay, there is a big problem. Even who says like, not so good, there is a problem. All 3 people, there's a problem. But this is the we don't want to bring in a conflict, so we have to respect those 3. Then okay, I really like your feedback. Thank you very much. We will have to move on with that. But all 3 has a problem. They hold to the position very strongly, and then they say like, hold to the position and say, so. And one person saying, so good, and saying like, what was the third person's reaction? Disgusting. All 3 people, same restaurant, the owner will say like, thank you for your feedback. That's a good business. The problem is with these 3 people, they put too much information already there already. So now, as I said, they hold to the one position very strongly, saying that the good thing should be already there, sorted there. They never thought in their mind the good and bad thing is relatively, dependently, that really does not inherently existence of this good coffee should be in there. The problem is already there. So similarly, this is just an example. The bigger picture is within yourself. When we say I, that's very personal. Whenever we say I, there's very personal stuff. We ever say nothing personal, it's a huge personal thing here. That I. So the Buddha put a huge emphasis for the Buddha. He says he spent countless of his lives to investigate what is that I. So that I, what we really hanged and to grasp very strongly, he always asked the question, what is the nature of this I? We normally ask what? Where is that I? But Buddha's way of asking this question before he became a Buddha, he always feel what is the nature of the I? That why he asked this question? Because whenever we say I, it is something connected with our five aggregates, through our form, body, or some feelings, or the discrimination. Then composition, factors. Then what's left? Products of mental position, consciousness. So somehow we feel the I is somewhere there. Do you feel like that? We need to feel like that. Otherwise, my I is not within you. So your I is within you. You have to feel like, where is that I? When I say, if you put your accidentally, you hurt your finger, then you say, I got hurt. Actually, you didn't get hurt. Your finger just got hurt. But there's no time to distinguish between this, because you will automatically say, I'm hurt. Why would you say that? In the worldly world, you ask this question, you might upset other people's feeling. But here we need to ask this question. Because it's so related, you feel like this I is somewhere there. So this is why in the Heart Sutra, when we read through this before our teaching, we just go, no nose, no ear, no. Then some people just go, what is that? No. So that's why the nature of that I is not within that, within that. So why we are trying to investigate it like this? Because how much you can calm your mind unless you got so blocked, clinged to this mixed, you have some kind of a mistaken mind of that I. And then you hold to this kind of mistaken I. And then all the other negative emotion gets kind of a holding towards that. And then right causes and condition comes, then negative emotion will be there. So it sounds like person who can calm your mind, no anger is coming, and he has a good shamatha, and he can control his mind quite well enough. It is similar for Buddha's understanding. It sounds like that person took some kind of a medicine, and that for temporarily his negative emotions get controlled. It's like a headache. You have a headache, you took an aspirin, and you feel like after a few minutes later, the headache is gone. But the scientist says headache is not gone. So they say the aspirin, the medicine you took, and somehow it numbed your kind of the nerves, and then you don't feel it. That doesn't mean the headache is gone. So you know when headache is gone? When your head is gone. That's bad, very bad joke. Who says this? My mother. My mother says this because she always have a headache. One day she said, I always call her and say, You have headache? I said, yes. So the 1, 2, 3 times I asked, and then I know that she always have headache. Then one day she said, I have so many headaches and sometimes I feel like I wish I have no head. That's actually true. No head, no headache. So similarly, so now if there is something, the root of all the negative emotions, if you look very clearly, that all comes up because of the mistaken mind of that I. If you cannot have some kind of a, I say this and then we'll stop here. Mikpi tesu seju etanda, namsu nala. Mikpa shaksa jirana. Lotigi mikpa shaksa jirana. And tell it deni, sumi ichi namdo jeyo ya. Sumi ichi namdo tell it deni kariki setu, ne chasho mo jeyo ya. So
in the three principal aspects of the path by Lama Tsongkhapa, he explains that whenever there's an object of observation or an observed object, then what observes that there's this improper mental attention, and then from that arise all the afflictions such as attachment, desirous attachment, and so forth.
So for that reason, in the middle scope, it talks about how to tame this kind of mind, which is the self-grasping. So in here, now His Holiness Dalai Lama said, if you really wanted to investigate what is Buddhism, this is the where you start. Before the first scope about karma and all the negative emotions and bit of shamadai could be there, and all these the teachings, it's commonly with non-Buddhist. But now here in the middle scope, where Atma and Anatma, why these two different things comes? Because to tame your own mind completely, unless you don't reach to this core of this self-grasping, you wanted to get rid of this kind of self-grasping for once and all, you don't have this feeling, then where you look for the teachings of the Dharma, where you do your practice of Dharma, it is always, you might do freestyle. Now, to deep-root it with this teaching of Dharma, through the middle scope, and especially in here, as Lama Tsongkhapa says in the text, saying, Sipa tatala kyowa jeni, sipa le chöwe, taba rangi tobara chede. Saying, to liberate from the samsara, the pervasive suffering, for once and all, may I can bring this so that I can give this to others. So then it becomes peace. We say inner peace, right? Inner peace, that's it. And I wanted to give this inner peace. Now you cannot take this inner peace and put that to others, but then you say like, I found the way to how to activate this inner peace. I give you this teaching. So what is the great compassion? I wanted to, day and night, may I be so strong, full of patience, full of enthusiastic, that I can deliver this teaching to them. That's a great compassion. So this is something how we work on world peace. Otherwise, there's no other way of world peace. It's just like unless you don't tame your mind like this, all the other great leaders in this world who are so educated, highly praised with their educations or thoughts, they are trying their best to bring peace. They can't. There's something wrong. So the problem is, with this kind of practice, now then you have to give a kind of give yourself a thought, and then feel like having this sort of bringing down this self-grasping, and then you can stay in the middle way path is something very important. Otherwise, we will always say, my view is more important than your view. Then other person will say same thing. The conflict is already there. So there is no middle way approach. So this is this way of investigation, how to investigate it into the middle way path, or bringing down the negative emotion once and all. All this really helps not only to get you to the final liberation, but the time to time when you sit down with your family, if you can adapt this set of mind, then you really need to know when to back off and then come back in again. Because you don't have so much grasping towards your point of view. And then you know that, yes, I could totally understand. You step back. Otherwise, once your negative emotion controls your own thoughts, then you say, I love you so much, I'm giving this piece of advice to you, you are not listening, then you. All this is not for others. Actually, deep inside this is greatly cling to your point of your mind, your thought becomes so important. You feel that you're confused now, and that person is not listening. So then there's so much anger, no compassion, only anger. And then the conflict is always there in the family. We see this every time. Okay, so enough blah 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 today. So, 16 is 4? 4? Okay. Oh, that's good. So thank you very much. So then from tomorrow we go through the text and then go slowly, and wherever there is some kind of things I think that will be important for discuss to let you know, then I will try my best to offer that to you. Okay? Okay, thank you very much. So we do the mantra. Sashi Bhagi Juje Mendo Tao Trena Lenshi Ninde Yabade Sanje Shindu Migde Bhavayi Yogun Namda Shinla Juvajo Jetsu Lame Guze Radenchi Namkara Chende Jojun Yebadam Losan Tembe Reme Sasonge Dove Muze Dadu Nyuji Ida Guru Ratna Mandala Ganyadayame.
For the long life of His Holiness. Kagira Vekove Shigandi Benandeva Mali Junlene Jere Simon Tenzin Jazoye Jave Side Pado Tenjoji Yevandi Yanda Amada Jeme Shiji Beva Longji Satan
Thank you.